Oh, it's gonna get better. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, it's gonna be. The sugar's gonna be- Right, right. Yes. Okay, it is 5:30, and I think I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is a regular board meeting of the Santa Ynez Community Service District, Wednesday, October 19th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. So if we could all stand, and I shall lead us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Ms. Ferry, may we please have a roll call?
Director Redford,
Here.
Director Van Pelt,
Here.
Director Jones,
Here.
Director Beard,
Here.
Director Pettifor.
Here. Okay, so all are present, and with that, I would like to see if any of the directors have any comments related to business that are not agendized this evening. If not, I do have a comment, and that is we will not be having our closed session tonight because of attorney conflict, something. So we're going to go ahead and do our closed session on another date. And so anyone who is looking forward to that, I'm sorry to disappoint, but that won't be happening. Okay. Any other comments from any directors before we go to public comment?
No.
I see none. So with that, I will go to public comment. And this is the opportunity for members of the public to address the board, to address the district on items that are not on the agenda. If you're here for something that is specifically going to be discussed on the agenda, you'll have an opportunity to make comments then. So I don't see anything from the people in the public. Our general manager, Mr. Dreisler, is your hand up?
No.
Okay. And it's a good time for me to check and make sure that there's nobody in the waiting room. And it does not appear that there is. And I don't see anyone wanting to make a public comment via Zoom. So with that, we shall go to our general manager, Mr. Dreisler, your report.
Yes, I have a couple items. On October 26th, we're going to have the MSR special meeting. And I know I sent an email out about that. We're looking to have that at 5 o'clock versus 4:30 that I had in the email. Hopefully that's okay. If you've had a chance to look at your schedules and you can be there at that time. I think I got a response from everybody except for maybe Frank. But we had talked about it, I think, in person at one point.
Right. What date was that?
October 26th at 5 p.m.
1 week from this evening, and it would start at,
Wednesday's fine.
yeah, Wednesday.
Next Wednesday at 5.
5.
Okay, yeah, I can make that.
And I have the draft here in print format, so I wanted to give those to everybody before you leave, so you can look at those if you want to. I sent a digital version. I'm taking a couple of them out, but this I think is easier.
Can I have a question? Brian? The MSR, because we had a meeting that I think we'll speak upon with LAFCO. To my understanding, this MSR was prepared by LAFCO and presented to us, right? So it's our chance to read their draft and comment on it. Is that
Yep.
okay? I want to double check that's correct.
And we changed it to 5 p.m. from 4:30.
Correct.
Yes.
sorry, it's hard for me to get up here earlier than
No, no worries.
Happy to
We changed it for
accommodate.
you.
that.
If I would have known.
Yeah, you could have said nothing. Okay, and Mr. Dreisler, did you have another item that you wanted to
I
report?
do, November 8th at 10 a.m. This is tentative because it's pending the committee approval. We were going to have an at-large meeting with Plan West again to talk about the districts split into separate areas for voting. So I think that's Director Redfern and President Jones, November 8th at 10 a.m.
Just the ad hoc, right?
That's
for
not the
those two.
red, that's just
That's
the
right,
ad
yeah,
hoc.
that's
Okay,
ad hoc, yeah.
good, because I'm not.
Is this the Plan West? This is the company that we have engaged with, right? That is going to do
Correct.
the redistricting. Okay, so that's what I wanted to double check. Sounds like a blast of a meeting. Enjoy it.
Well, it's interesting because right now we have an election coming up. We've already got our ballots. And it's interesting for me to see the different districts for different agencies, schools. They're in kind of, it's staggered where they are in the process, but it's giving me an idea of how it all works.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So anyway,
So the November 8th is at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Right, and that's still tentative, but I did get that organized with Plan West, and I said I'll get back to you as soon as I can with the approval from the committee.
and if it works for Frank, it will work for me.
Works for me.
And we have an ad hoc committee, right? Or no, is there another meeting set up?
Yeah, we do, and I'll send that out separately.
Okay.
We're going to the day, and let me confirm this before we leave.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Now that we're talking dates, I'm writing them down, but yeah, we could take it after the meeting.
We had the on-site meeting coming up
Yes,
with Chumash and the supervisorial staff, and I believe that's October 25th.
yeah, that's,
But if you want to confirm with me before.
I'll confirm. Yeah, I turned off my phone, so I can't look right now.
And then the last thing, I did attend today, sort of intermittently, there's something called the California Finance Coordinating Committee, CFCC, and they organize all the different state agencies into one place, talk about the grant funds that are available from all those different agencies. It's a little overwhelming. A lot of the information was related to disadvantaged communities. Another piece of information that they talked about was having projects that were ready, essentially. I think we've heard that term before, where you have the plans ready to go. You're looking for funding now. And the other thing they talked about quite a bit is they still have loans for low interest rates at around the 2% range. So they also talk about grants, loans, and bonds in particular. So that it's a good resource. Glad that I went to at least a portion of that and just raise my awareness level of some of the funds that are available out there for different projects.
Very good.
Yeah, I think coming seems quite handy, right?
Yeah, it's nice to get everybody in the same place at the same time. And usually they do this in person. And that's pretty good because you can actually go to the booths and talk to the different agencies, but they still did it online this year. And hopefully they talked about doing it in person again up in Sacramento, hopefully within the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. It's also great that there may be low interest loans still available.
It's just a note, just I usually don't remember things out that often, but they talked about 2%. And then if you do the loan for 20 years or less, they'll take another 0.25 off of that. So, there's loans out there in the 1.75% range, which is good.
Is there a low barrier for, do they get into the qualification of these loans? I mean, is it really, if we're,
Yeah, I would say loans and grants, in particular with state and federal agencies, have become a lot more sophisticated over the last 10 years, and almost to the point with some of them where it has to be above a threshold for us to even participate because of the amount of administrative efforts that you have to go through to do that.
that's like the loan that we did for Horizon. It wasn't worth it to do some of the loans because of what they were requiring.
yeah.
It was going to cost us another $150,000-$200,000 to just in what we had to do to qualify for the loan.
Yeah.
You know,
That's right.
But as we discuss, as things move forward and talk about different ways we can offer services to the annexed portion of our district, all of this will be very valuable information.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, and is that it?
Thank you, Mr. Drysdale.
That's it.
Okay, then we shall go to Ms. Berry for the Secretary Treasurer's report.
Okay, we passed the renewal process for our transparency certificate. So they'll be presenting that at some point. We purchased a 12-month CD for 4.10%, an 18-month CD for 4.25%, and a 24-month for 4.3%. And October 24th is the Santa Barbara Chapter Special District Quarterly Meeting in Isla Vista.
What was that date again, Wendy?
What?
What was the date again?
October 24th.
24.
Next Monday.
So it's SBC.
That's SYCSD chapter
That's it.
meeting.
And is that going to be at Glen Annie?
Isla Vista.
Oh, Isla Vista. Well, I
Not
think,
Park and Rec building? No,
Community
it's a
center
community center.
across the street.
Are you going to be there, Jay?
Yes.
Wonderful.
home court.
I was the only person from the SYCSD last year, or your last quarter.
Okay, do you have anything else to report? That is it. Okay, now we're going to go on to the consent agenda, which are our routine items, approving meeting minutes, looking at the dashboard. Oh, the committees, thank you. I skipped over committee reports, and I know that you and Frank, I believe, had a committee meeting.
Yeah, with Mr. Dreisler, yeah, we met with LAFCO again. And I thought it was a great informative meeting because Frank, I believe that was your second meeting as well. And we got a little more deeper discussion on some of our thoughts and the process, and not only the time frame of how long it would take to enact some of these late powers, but some of the costs. So I feel, especially coming on this MSR review, I think it was very helpful to engage with them again, to understand, what we're not up against, but kind of what we need to remind ourselves once we take this on, because it's no small feat, right? You definitely have to be prepared administratively speaking, as well as directors, right? So I think it was a positive meeting.
Yeah.
You have anything else, Frank? Or?
I think I got half of what I learned.
But it is a tremendous commitment, and
Yeah.
there will be a lot, and
Right.
you won't memorize it all. There's going to be research and meetings. It's a commitment that we may decide as a district that it is worth our time to pursue.
Yeah, and we talked about transportation, how they view bike paths and, multi-pedestrian bike paths, and, and how really complicated it's going to be for us when we look at the overall San Ynez area, because there are different requirements for development. So it was a good reminder to me that it seems easy for us to try to go to NAC and, carry a torch, but it really bumps up against a lot of the other potential building development issues. So you really have to work closely, and you have to have your expectations in check. Because sometimes I'm under the impression you can get a lot done. And it's a good reminder that you can do it, but you just got to play the long game. So I think we're slated after this MSR review to probably deliver something more concrete to the board.
Well, the one thing that I took from that's probably the most significant in terms of the MSR is he mentioned that we should come up with some language that shows that we're considering the feasibility of adding some of the latent powers.
Yeah.
So, and we can talk about that next week.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah. So but we're taking a step in the right direction. The way I view it is understand the process and really starting to hone in on what we want to focus on and what we want to seek potential funding for, and what our constituents were best benefited for us to put powers to, right? So.
Yeah, it's exciting, and I look forward to you both learning more. I have a lot to learn, but even just getting into the Santa Ynez Valley General Plan, there is a whole section on trails there. There's just all these different parts. And one of the things is the Valley Plan, And then there's also, county funding.
Solving.
Yeah, there's all kinds of things that you've come out the other side with more knowledge, and it is a good experience.
And we need more, I'll finish with this, we need more knowledge. I think what Frank has brought up several times, and which I'm very aware of in Refugio is, we constantly are, in the back seat getting kind of told what's down the road, and we have little to do or say about it. And it's right in areas that technically are in our sphere of influence. It's too late, right? Where things are already moving, right? You got, a walking path, a bridle path going up Refugio, we have roundabouts. I know people are trying, but we have no seat at the table. So I think it's important for us and all of our constituents to feel like we understand what's happening. We have a seat at the table, and we won't until we engage the next level, right? And take some of these general plans to heart, speak about them, and then really just be more proactive, because it is hard to feel like you're sitting in the back getting told, hey, this is what's coming, whether you like it or not. I don't think anyone feels good about that. I don't.
No, that's why it's great that you guys are taking this on, and, you get a
With the
seat
help
at the
of-
table,
yeah,
right?
with the help of Mr. Dreisler. So, yeah. Okay, that's all for that, at least that ad hoc committee.
Okay, our ad hoc committee continues to meet on the collective bargaining as necessary, and we have the upcoming meeting on the redistricting that we spoke of earlier. And then I'm not sure, does a finance committee have anything coming up, or have you had a meeting?
We have not. No.
Well, I think we need to schedule a meeting soon.
Yeah, so maybe after our meeting is over tonight, you guys can look at calendars or just plan what would work.
But one more question I'm going to have, this might be directed to Mr. Dreisler's. I know our ad hoc committee, this is an ad hoc we formed for the latent powers. I think it's over 6 months, right? Ad hoc is typically, is it for a 6-month period? Considering this might be non-issue, but a topic that we're going to continually bring back, do we want to turn this into a standing committee?
I think we'll have a committee review coming up soon after the election.
Okay.
And then we can probably consider that at that time.
Okay, so we'll bury it until after the elections and then bring up. I just don't want to run afoul. Frankly, that's what I'm saying, is making sure that, that we're not extending the ad hoc any more than is permitted. So, okay.
Yeah, it's good to think about that.
Okay, so if that is
I'll
it
include you on.
for the committee, now we're going to go ahead and move on to the consent items, and that is approving the meeting minutes, taking a look at the dashboard of the checks from the disbursements from September 9th through October 14th. Does anyone have any questions or any corrections that they would like to make?
Nope.
Okay,
I'll make a motion. to
Oh.
approve.
I was.
Go ahead.
Yes, I just, on the meeting minutes, I think that it would be better on, let's see, on the item F on our September meeting. We can talk more in detail about it, but I think that if we are going to list speakers' names, we should probably say who they are representing. And I see that happened on one, but for instance, Megan Harmon was calling, she serves on the Santa Barbara City Council. And I believe Ms. Small said she was representing the Chamber of Commerce. Katie McShirley read a statement on behalf of Doss Williams. Megan Dietenhofer read a statement on behalf of our supervisor, Joan Hartman. So I think, we can talk more about that, but just to indicate who the people that spoke were representing, if we were going to get detailed about their names, I think that would make the
Yeah, I
record
think
more
that's-
clear.
I'd be in favor of that. I think that's important. And a lot of them actually came out and were forthcoming on who they're representing, right? And where the
Yes.
message was coming from. So it should be captured. I
Yeah,
agree.
they
Yeah.
literally said, I am
Yeah.
reading this statement on behalf of Supervisor Doss Williams of the second district.
Mhm.
So,
Do we have to make a motion for that? Or
well,
is it-
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Director Beard, I
Yes,
interrupted you through that.
I'm fine with that, with it as stated, as you know, with adding those.
Okay, so Director Beard, would you like to make a motion with that correction?
Yes.
Okay, and is there a second for that?
I'll
motion?
second it.
Okay, roll call.
Okay, we have a motion by Director Beard and a second by Director Van Pelt to approve the consent agenda with the change to indicate who the speakers were, who the speakers represent on item F. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Redfern,
Aye.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Van Pelt,
Aye.
Director Pataford.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay, now we're going to move on to the action items. And the first action item, 7A, is an installment payment agreement for 141-201-064 to approve the installment plan agreement. We will need to take action. Let's get the staff report.
Okay, so we have Mr. Martin here with 3025 Cali Pico. And he would like to connect his parcel to the sewer system. And he's willing to put in a main line extension to our manhole over by the Hearts. And his total capacity charges are $71,853.51. It's estimated at 7.25%, 20 years. His annual payment on the property tax roll will be $6,860.48. I'm still waiting on confirmation from the county to see if he can be added to the tax roll after the November approval of the installment payment plan. And if he can be added, then he won't have to pay a year's upfront. But if he can't be added, then he'll have to pay 1 year upfront in cash.
So is this one extra house that we're getting on Horizon that we didn't have before?
Well, it's an extra, it's not a, he was already figured into
Oh, he's one of the
the
20.
23.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, sorry. I was
Good
hoping we were
news.
getting 24.
No, but I'm still happy whenever I hear anyone is
Right.
taking advantage of it, so that is great. Is there any other question or clarification from the directors?
Where was this at? This is,
Cali Pico.
I know, I'm kind of know, where is it? You said it was adjacent to the Hearts?
It's the gated community, so it runs perpendicular to the line from San Dakota to Larson's.
Okay.
to
There's like 4 homes in there.
Yeah.
What?
There's 4
There's
homes
4
in that
homes.
little gated area.
Are there other people in the neighborhood that are interested?
My neighbor Eric is, yes. He hasn't filled out this application at this point, but I lived in that particular home from 87 to 97, so I understand the issues when we used to have rain. And certainly we know that it's going to rain again at some point. People are going to be more anxious about getting onto the sewer system. I want to be proactive from my side because I've seen the houses and the water table come up and everybody's septic gets clogged up.
Is it with the other 4 homes? If we were to do this, would we prohibit them from hooking up, or is there a way for them to hook up in the future?
They'll be able to hook up because he'll do a main line extension
Okay.
and they'll have stub outs and they'll have to work out.
Yeah, I think
cost
Craig
sharing.
said something about maybe putting in a manhole so that we can access.
Yeah, because it's like, isn't it like 200 and something feet or 401 feet, I think?
You know, I didn't measure it.
Yeah, it's a long way.
Yeah, well, that's, okay, so that's why you said a main line extension. That's
Yeah.
what I was,
And the district engineers have to, our district engineer has to approve the sewer line plan.
That would be Mr. Kilborn.
What's the timetable on that extension from the main line? Just wondering, just for general knowledge, do they give you any time frame on when this could potentially be completed?
The only thing I've done at this point is fill up the application, and now I'm in front of the board now, so I'm not even sure exactly how detailed the process is and what the next step is.
It's a process.
Yeah,
It's
that's
not
what I'm saying. It
something
sounds,
that-
yeah.
Because he's got to have somebody dropped plans and our district engineer approves them,
Mhm.
and there's certain steps that we have to go through. Then he
Okay.
would have to deed the line back over to us.
Mhm.
So,
Now I have a little clarification. Which one of you has a parcel that we are voting to approve tonight? That's your parcel, and you're here because you're interested in possibly hooking up?
Correct.
Okay. And so for you, it would be great if the county was able to approve it on, explain to me again, on the current tax roll, so he doesn't have to pay a year up front.
right. It's all about the timing, because the property tax bills come out and they're due December 10th. So I don't know at this time if it will be too close. We obviously can't do it until after. the
We've been in
November
that
meeting.
situation before where they've had to pay up front because it was too close, yeah.
But I would encourage you, we had our local supervisor have somebody speak on her behalf at our last meeting. So if you contact Megan Dietenhofer at Joan Hartman's office, I don't know if they can give you any tips for expediting it, or if there's any way they can be helpful. But I hope that you're successful there.
I mean, to me, paying a year upfront doesn't really matter. It's a matter of, trying to get this flowing so that I can hook into the sewer system and not have to worry about septic system in the future.
You could flush and forget it.
Well, it only took your neighbors 25 years, so.
Horizon,
Yeah.
yeah, they've had so many problems for so long.
Yeah.
And how does it work with the sewer system? Is there a capacity for the amount of people who can hook up to it?
Yes, we have a certain amount that is allowed by the treatment plant in Solvang. And so there is a limit, but that changes, and they're getting ready to upgrade their treatment plant in Solvang. There's going to be a big, expensive project, but it, I think, is likely to afford us additional room.
So what, you have 23 homes on the sewer system currently with Horizon? Is that what I heard?
No, we have 6.
Oh, 6.
We have 6
We have
out of the
23.
23.
Possible.
So you
20
have
cost.
capacity of,
Well, that's overall capacity, I think, in the system. I think your question's more, right, pertain to the capacity on that particular extension, right? That's
well,
going
yes,
Horizon.
with any of my other neighbors that might want to hook on in
Yeah.
the future, is there going to be a limitation to that?
No,
Well, that's.
Well, it's cheaper
so-
today than it will be next week.
Yeah,
Yes.
so let me put it to you this way. It will be engineered so that everyone on that street could hook up to it. It should be engineered that way.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
certainly.
Is there a point where you think you're gonna be forced to hook up to it?
Only if their septic system fails. And in 2016, maybe 2015, I think it was 2016, the board at that time annexed in almost 400 houses in West Santa Ynez, which is the area around Refugio. And we should have plenty of capacity should we do a big project and make it available. But it's only available. We don't put the line in and say, okay, everybody abandon your septic and get on this. But the state obviously keeps keeps modernizing their rules. We'll call it modernizing. And I believe that the state and the county both would like more people on sewer. And especially with just the move to put more people in a space, septic isn't going to work. When you have a bunch of ADUs popping up, then you become a threat to the groundwater. If you have,
And the groundwater is very low right now.
Yeah. So the rule is, at this point, we are not going to force you to go on. The county will force you to go on to sewer if there is a sewer line within 200 feet of your property.
and your septic
And your
fails.
septic fails. So if your septic fails, they will not allow you to repair it. They'll say you have to hook up. If it's within 200 feet, correct?
That's correct.
So that's, but we won't be the ones forcing you. It's the county.
And the capacity fees for the Horizon Drive line will be going up in January.
Yeah.
And I think one other thing is so we don't know what the rules are gonna, when they change in Sacramento, we're not privy to that. It could just happen in the next few months because the water table's really low and you have a lot of septic tanks in that area. So you could start getting high effluent readings in the drinking water that you maybe have around your property. Not from saying this water, but anything that's in a well, like maybe is it Sunrise Village up the street from you guys, they have their own well. There they could start getting high effluent readings in their water.
This brings a good question though, is if we're talking about an extension, mainline extension to Cali Pico at over 200 feet right now, is that what it sounds like? So if there was multiple failures of septic systems and the state deemed this a special problems area, they already have that particular Cali Pico is special problems area.
Yes, but not because of failures, because of special problems. They've identified Janin Acres in the past as a special problems area. Los Olivos right now is, talk about the long game. They are right now dealing with theirs.
Because what happens, to my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is in special problems area, if you have particular failures and you don't have access, failures of the septic, you don't have access to sewer mainline, is that there's special treatments. They're septic systems per se, but they're actually treatment systems that become extremely expensive. Basically they're home water treatment systems for waste. So it's kind of an interesting, and they're rather expensive, too expensive, in my opinion. And so it does hopefully drive people to sewer, but if it's not available, you might be stuck with, a very tough decision. So it sounds like this mainline extension really serves a great purpose.
Do you know if there's any type of state or federal incentive programs to help pay for it?
Not that I uncovered. Another reason I noticed is I was in escrow in a home that had a septic, issue, and it was in Ballard, and so I had to learn very quickly about the what if scenario, right? Happened if I had to go and put in this water treatment system, and I looked for incentives. I couldn't find any, but I'm not the savviest individual when it comes to finding state grants.
Wendy, are they in our sphere of influence? They are, yeah. So if you are in our sphere of influence, just like this gentleman has just applying to go on a payment plan, we offer that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, actually, this gentleman is in our district.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah, that's sphere of influence, but Ballard is not in our district.
Right.
But
No, I just said that's what I learned, but I think
Right.
the question is it's not, David, I wouldn't say that we offer incentives as much as we offer a payment plan. but we
Right,
don't
that's what I
necessarily
mean. We offer a
payment
payment plan.
plan,
That's
but
what
not
I
any
said.
grants or incentives. Yeah.
It's a payment plan that gets paid on your taxes yearly.
Right.
So.
And not to give false hope, but this was what our general manager, Mr. Dreisler, was talking about earlier, where he was at a meeting where different things offer incentives, grants, low interest loans to the district. Should we try and, take on offering the service to more of what Santee is?
I have a quick question that maybe somebody can ask because it's not clear to me. With the fees that I'm paying to hook onto the sewer system, when my neighbors come in and want to hook up, what type of fee, are they going to have to pay the same fee that I'm paying? So everybody would have to pay the $71,000?
It's actually going to be more in January. So each year in
So each
January,
home in that neighborhood is going to pay $71,000 to run the sewer system when they want to do it.
yes.
Now, if I'm hooking on when he's hooking on, do I have to pay the $71,000 or I have to pay part of his $71,000?
You have to pay the $71,000 plus whatever you agree for the mainline extension to reimburse it for the cost.
So there's the trenching.
Right.
Yeah.
But what you're paying for is the existing system that's already been installed and paid for back in 70 whatever, all the way to solving. you're buying into that system. It's not, the
And the lines that
71,000
we
isn't
just
just
put
for the
in.
little connection
Yeah.
to the line, it's for the line all the way to Solvang.
And the current, I think what was the total cost of the Horizon project?
1.4, I believe, and that, 1.3.
So we just spent $1.3 million dropping that in. So as Director Redfern was saying, part of that 70,000 plus is for all the way to Solvang, but it's also helping to recoup the cost of laying that pipe and that extension so that people can hook up to it. It's on the burden of the community service district.
And so do you have an annual increase fee? Is that, or is this just something that is going to happen January that you guys discussed? Is it-
There's an annual sewer, a monthly sewer fee that goes on your property tax
Correct.
bill too.
on the-
That's $79.93 per month.
Okay, so we don't pay a monthly fee then?
No, you don't, like your water bill? No, it goes on your property tax bill.
But every year, so if you hook up this year, you're getting it the 71,000. January, it goes up. Every January, it's going to go up.
That was my question.
Yeah. So the sooner you hook up, the less it's going to cost you.
one other thing that's important, I think, it was so expensive when we put in that new line because we see what's going on with inflation right now and with building costs, employees, blah, blah, blah. The cost of our project skyrocketed. And yeah, from the starting point where we were preparing to get the bids, we were doing all the engineering
I thought I
reports.
recognized you. I've used you quite a lot.
But those costs have really went up and we don't know. But I expect that everything is going to probably continue in that direction for a while.
Yeah.
And do you guys have any other, this was our public comment, but do you have any other comments or questions before we go to a vote here?
No, this is a learning experience for me, so I'm enjoying listening to all your comments, so. But no additional questions for me.
Okay, and if you think of things, obviously, Ms. Berry has helped you in the past. Feel free to call the office, get clarification. Our staff serves your district. Okay, and with that, then do we have a motion to approve the installment payment plan agreement for APN 141-201-064?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it. Oh, you can second it.
Go ahead,
It's a race to second.
It doesn't matter. You beat me to it.
Okay, so we had a motion made by Director Van Pelt, a second by Director Redfern.
We have a motion by Director Van Pelt, second by Director Redfern to approve the installment payment plan agreement for APN number 141-201-064. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Redfern.
Aye.
Director Van Pelt.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Director Palafor.
Aye.
Motion passes.
And this will come back in November after the process, because by law, we have to notice the public of this, and then it will get its final approval.
So there has to be a public hearing. We have to notify the cost of the paper with the APN number. And then as it gets closer to the November meeting, then we'll finalize the 1% override. And then we'll go through the process of approving that part, which also approves putting a lien on your parcel. So if you sell it, you have to pay it off when you sell it.
And if I so desire to pay it off at any time, I can pay
You
it
can do
off.
that as well.
We prefer that. I'm just.
Okay, so
I have several projects going on with you right now. Using your company.
Well, good, maybe you'll help me pay it off.
Yeah.
Thanks for you guys coming in.
yeah, thank you very much. You're welcome to stay.
Yeah.
We only have a few more
Got some really
things.
exciting things to talk about.
Yes, our next action item is a discussion of our Horizon Drive sewer easement help me. Subsidence. Subsidence, that's right, the subsidence adventure.
The long eye, got you again, the long eye.
Hey, I went to speech therapy, okay? That's just have always been hard for me. So the subsidence issue, we had some subsidence following our rain almost a year ago, several months ago, and we've been doing different things. So I will turn it over to Mr. Dreisler, who's been working on this.
Well, I'm glad you talked about the time, because I did put together a chronology, and it's on the page right behind the staff report. And I really did this initially for myself, because I just needed to see everything on one page.
I love it.
This is the first time you've had a foldout. Wow.
This is very good. Thank you.
And it helped me too, because I wanted to sort of track the different milestones that had happened over the course of the project.
Do we have any more of these?
Yeah, I do actually have.
I don't know, since these gentlemen are sitting here listening, it might be interesting to them.
I think there's, thank you. I think there's three. So this does recognize the milestones of the project, you know, with that green zone at the top, when the board approved the notice of completion. And then I sectioned that off to where specialty actually did their repair to that surface soil subsidence. And there's some additional narrative below each of the items. And then the 5-month period after specialty did their work, there were a couple board meetings, and I actually began working here on July 20th. So that was, I've been at the district for about 9 days at that time. So you can see the board motion at that point was to do the soaker hose, the soil from Horizon to 246. And we did that. So my first presentation to the board was in August 17th. So that was the start really of the ninth month since the project had been completed, is when we started that soaker project. And with that last meeting, we talked about getting the consultants involved. Our project manager and the geotechnical specialist had some additional comments and gave us some additional guidance there. And then I highlighted not only on this page, but on September 21st, 2022, what the direction was, board direction was at this last meeting. And that was notify the contractor of the steps the district has taken. So I actually went down to Specialty Construction, their office is in San Luis Obispo, and met with the project manager and one of the vice presidents of the company. We had a good conversation, and I talked about what we had been doing. And they were cordial, of course. And one of the vice president of the corporation actually has a home in San Ynez and very familiar with the area, and was said happy to come by anytime to answer any questions in the future. So that was a positive experience. I did contact a consultant so we could look into additional compaction samples. That was Geo Solutions. We went back and forth quite a bit over a period of time, and what I gathered from them essentially was they didn't think that we would benefit from doing the compaction. They offered what I thought was sort of an invasive solution to the problem too, and I just realized they weren't interested at this point in doing that work. So I contacted Earth Systems, who was also on the periphery of this project, and they gave me a proposal last week. And I looked at the proposal, and I had to make some modifications to it because I don't think it was going to give us exactly what we wanted, because I wanted apples to apples comparison with what the other compaction tests had shown. And so we worked that out. It was fine. It was just a matter of going through the terminology and making sure we were there. So they are scheduled to be here November 7th to do the work. You know, that type of work in particular. They have other projects that they're doing now. And I told them whatever they could do to speed up the process would be fantastic. So November 7th, they're going to come out and do 5 samples and get us a compaction comparison. So that's where we're at right now, but I did this just so we could see the whole process on one page and have it sectioned sort of in the different milestones for the project. And
Mr. Dreisler,
yeah.
So November 7th, they do 5 additional samples. These samples come back, could they potentially contradict the samples that we originally received? the compaction, and do we go back to specialty and say, hey, there's discrepancies, or you obviously achieved 95% plus compaction, but it's not compacted to this.
Right, and I did add the GeoSolutions report.
Yeah, I viewed that. You sent it to me last
And I
night.
sent that to you.
Yeah.
previously. And they did 23 different compaction samples
Yeah.
over the course of the project, and you can see in that they reached that 95 plus relative compaction. I think one of the things that we've talked about is that all of this is relative compaction, right? So what we put soil that was already on site back into this trench. So the relative compaction is based on the soil that was already there. So there is a chance that it could come back, and in the area that they do this test, it might not meet the same levels that GeoSolution achieved with their test. But having said that, you know, with some of the conversations we've had with the contractors, the information we have and the information that we made some decisions on were based on this information that we received. So if you look at the details, the contractor did conform to the plans and specifications are strong. So, you know, it'll be interesting. I think we're in a situation right now where we just have to wait to see what these compaction results show us.
And are we doing these compaction results in the areas of concern?
Yeah, we talked a little bit offline just because I wanted to make sure we're going down the right path. So we're doing 5, and we're still trying to work out because there's equipment, you know, there's some equipment considerations that will probably allow us to do the compaction for sure in the areas of concern. And then we're likely going to do 3 random compaction samples just to have those as a basis for other.
And what was the contract price?
The contract price was, it was interesting because originally it was about $8,000, and I called back and I said, we need to do this apples to apples comparison with this compaction test. And I thought it was going to be a lot different. They sent back $8,500. So that's about $1,700 per each test, which seems reasonable.
This testing that we're doing is for the new lateral that goes to Horizon, where it goes off-road off of Horizon and goes across the backyards of several people's homes. We have an easement there, and we had the soil drop in the trench line a couple of feet or 16 inches after a 3-inch rain in December last year, after we were supposed to have compaction. In most cases, that wouldn't be something that you'd want to see.
And I think, doesn't that run straight across the back property line of your house?
Yeah, and so there's a culvert behind our
Because
house.
it's right on this side of the fence, I believe.
Right, so we're trying to make sure we have a 1-year warranty, which runs out in 2 months. We're trying to make sure that it was installed correctly with the correct compaction. And that's what all of this is about. And we had an intermediate administrator that in 5 months didn't get very far on it. And so we're getting to the end, and we're making the big push to make sure it is installed correctly.
Yeah, last December is when we had the heavy rain.
Right.
Any soil that was loose would compact.
Exactly.
And those, I think you guys are probably familiar with native soil. And so that was a concern that this could be an ongoing problem. But we have discussed it at length at several meetings. And I think that Director Van Pelt, Director Redfern, really everyone, that more data is helpful. But playing devil's advocate at the last meeting, I was thinking, okay, we've got an engineer that said 95%, which is higher than we expected. We had the original engineer say that the project was completed to what we had agreed on, the agreed to specs. So at some point, I worry that we're borrowing trouble. We're looking for a problem, and we need to make sure it's done right. But at the same time, I feel a little conflicted that we need to make sure that we have the same standard for our entire district. Because there are probably I think the sewer line is across the street from my house, I believe. that on my side of the street on Edison, we have like a ditch that forms. It never goes away in some parts, but whenever it rains, the soil washes out. On the other side of the street, things are more stable. But anyway, there's 800 houses currently on sewer, almost 400 in the district, who hopefully will be able to get sewer in the near future. And we want to get this right, but we also have to like pull back and take a look at the big picture with this. I want to be fair to Specialty, who did the job. While the job was being done, we were happy. We paid a project manager. So that's me. I'm not disagreeing with you or Director Van Pelt about the importance of getting it right, but I also want to defend the work of the people we hired who throughout the process, I thought did a good job, were very responsible and responsive, and they worked really well with the homeowners.
How deep is the sewer line?
14, about 14 feet at the deepest, and then it goes, I think, back to 9.
So the deepest is at 246, and then it's rising, going towards horizon. Is that true?
They typically flow down.
Yeah.
So it's gonna flow down to
Yeah, so-
246,
So it's deepest at Verizon, or at 246.
246, and the highest at Horizon.
Mhm.
And I think what's important, we're speaking about it, but going on what Director Redfern said is really the liability. You know, we have livestock in that area. And so just to have, you know, a horse or whatever they have in their property in one of these areas of concern and they break a leg, you know, we're just trying to do everything we can in our power as a board to ensure that it was done specification and that we don't have any I guess, you know, continual liability. Because
The district also has history on a previous job where we used native soil for backfill and it was not compacted correctly. And it's probably still falling today. I mean, and it's been 23 years. I mean, it fell like mad for the first 3 or 4 years.
Was it
all
on-
over the place.
was it an easement on private property?
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
So I think it's, you know, I'm going because living in the downtown corridor, I think it's one thing if we have easement on public land, I'm guessing, right, when it's running down. As soon as we get those
Mostly.
easements on private land, you're dealing with private citizens, and some of these citizens can be rightfully vocal, right, if something's happening. So I think looking too far in the rearview mirror with what was laid before we were around as board members, but this is laid on our watch, right? And it's well worth the extra money, I think, to protect our constituents, right, and their interests. So
I agree, and I agree with going forward with this, but I also just want to be clear that we were happy with the work while it was going on, and what my mother always used to tell me when she signed a release slip for a field trip was, hey, I'll sign it, but if I can prove negligence when you're hurt, that piece of paper doesn't mean anything. So, you know, we do our best,
Yep.
we cover our bases, and if somebody was negligent, then they will, you know, have to account for that.
Yep.
But I feel like we have went above and beyond, and at some point, I would not want this to be misconstrued in any way that we're saying negative things about the company that did the work, or that we don't think that they are a good company. That's my concern. The more we talk about it, it's like, well, wasn't that the company that they had all this? And we had nothing but a good experience with them. This is just a legitimate concern to make sure that our district and its constituents and the particular homeowners are protected.
So the issue is probably more about compaction of the sewer line.
Correct.
than it is below the.
Yeah.
That is exactly right.
and we had some tests that we performed, make sure the sewer line had not dropped, from our understanding, right?
The camera did.
The camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we checked to make sure that, yeah, that sewer line itself had not dropped, and found that didn't happen. So that made us feel a little better.
Like I heard earlier in the discussion, that's a very high water table there. So having the rains come that we had in December, as much as we had in a short period, if something's gonna happen, it's gonna happen then.
Yeah.
And it did.
For 2023 and 2024 on the year.
Yeah.
I'm hoping.
I hope you're right, but that's not what I'm
I'll do a
hearing.
rain dance for that after this meeting.
So,
Well, I appreciate your insight because it is a balancing act and Mr. Redfern, our director, is very familiar not just with the work, but with the kind of soil here. And Director Van Pelt is,
Quick study.
you are a quick study, but you also understand how data works and how, you get enough information and you can learn things. But at the same time, I do want to say that Mr. Kerr was our project manager, and I felt like he kept us abreast throughout the process. And I don't have anything but nice things to say about the people who did the work. We're only just making sure that everything is safe.
well, our soil is prone to this and we know it, so. So do we need to vote or do we
I
need to
don't
just
think
give
we need to do
direction?
anything. The way I have written the staff report was I left that last box unchecked at the bottom of for direction from the previous meeting, and that was to take the additional compaction samples near the areas of concern, along with 2 or 3 random compaction samples for comparison. And I think.
Okay,
we're
so
in a
you
holding
said
pattern.
they're doing this on November 7th and our warranty runs out November 17th.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Pretty close.
Does that
Well,
But
math
they've been
work?
notified that we're testing.
They've been notified that we're testing, and the other thing is they'll do those boring compaction tests on the 7th, but then they have to send them to the laboratory to do the analysis. So yeah, we're definitely gonna be pushing right up against that.
Okay, so we're gonna run out of our warranty.
It looks like that right now. I mean, I think the sample will take 7 days, so we'll be at, the 14th, if that's what it takes. And the other thing we're a little dependent upon is Earth Systems made it really clear that if they, for some reason, are on another job and it gets extended because of site conditions, that might move us out to November 9th or the 8th. So we're crossing our fingers that they get here that they are here on November 7th.
But we really, just to finish up, we don't, on this topic, so we talked about, even if it came back, compaction testing was questionable. At the end of the day, specialty, right, they have reports that they had, right, they compacted to above standards. And so even if we want to present it to them, it could be just a stalemate. And then it's not like we just guarantee ourselves an extended warranty or a fix if indeed it comes back. They did it to specification, it passed, they have documentation. But it's more about just seeing how bad it is, right? Or how different.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
I think that it was a very positive thing for you to go in person and speak with them, because don't mean to pick on you, sir, but if a board was discussing your business and that they were worried about a warranty on work you did, it's much better to deal face to face. And if there is a problem when we get the information back, then you've already established a relationship between you and the people there, and you can work something out, because good people do.
Over time, I've learned that those are the kind of conversations that just don't work well on phone or on Zoom. It's better just to be in their office, meeting them, shaking their hands, having a discussion. It's just a better connection in general.
Good. Thank you for taking the extra step.
Yes, and that's probably how this will resolve also. That probably was not your last face-to-face meeting with them, but is there board consensus to proceed with what we asked for last time?
Yeah.
Okay, then. Well, I don't think we need to take a vote.
Good conversation. Thank you.
And thank you.
Is this fun?
Be careful.
I don't know about it.
Okay, now we are going to move on to 7C, which is authorization of signers for the National Financial Services, NFS, and we will receive the staff report. And I believe this will be from Ms. Berry.
So, National Financial Services is the financial organization that holds our CDs. And so the minute order will be similar to the one you approved for Mechanics Bank last month. And what that will do is that will authorize, it'll say who's authorized to do any interaction with the CDs. So we purchased, like I announced in the Secretary Treasurer's report, we bought the 3 CDs. So we need to have everyone sign on the account.
Do I have to sign? I mean, do I need to be?
You don't have to.
Okay, I'm just wondering, I'm just looking at the practicality of me having to be on an account that's controlling CDs of the board. I don't see, I mean, Armageddon would have to happen. There's something really bad for me to have to even get involved. I'm just being honest, right? I'm trying to figure out why all board members. Is there a reason that I'm unaware of that we should all be on?
Well, it just helps if if the general manager leaves, I leave.
Okay. Okay.
One of you would have to do the interaction for the CDs.
Okay,
So if you're not
okay.
on it, then you can't do anything.
Okay, that's fair enough. Okay.
You won't be the first one called, okay?
It's just, I don't want to delay any process. I don't get back to anyone, right? I have enough people calling me. Right? So.
And this includes Mr. Dreisler, so you
It
are on.
includes all of us.
Okay, so everybody is on. Okay, so our action then would be to approve that.
How many signatures does it take to do anything with it?
2.
Just one?
Our financial, our bank signing thing says 2 signatures, but to just pull the, I mean, the only thing you can do is pull the money out of the CD and it goes into our money market. And the only way to get that money out of that money market is to wire it to 5-Star.
So there's other layers of protection once, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
There's no
you can't just
heist.
decide you want to cancel the CD and then wire the money to your own checking account.
And then make a run for it somewhere.
But normally the secretary treasurer is going to be the one that is responsible for doing
Or the
that.
general manager.
But that's what I was going to say, and in case that you are not available, then general manager and then on down the pecking order. Okay, so do we need a motion here? Yes.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we have a motion for authorization of signers for the NFS.
I'll second it.
Director Paddleport has seconded Director Van Pelt's motion.
So we have a motion by Director Van Pelt and a second by Director Paddleport to approve the draft minute order authorizing current board members and 2 staff members to sign the National Financial Services Money Market Account.
Before we do our roll call vote, is there any public comment or question? Okay, then we shall do.
Aye.
Director Van Pelt,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Beard,
Aye.
Director Paddleport,
Aye.
motion passes.
Okay, and now we go to 7D, which authorizes the continuation of doing meetings, teleconferencing via Zoom. So I will turn that over to Mr. Dreisler.
We're gonna let Ms. Berry do this as well.
Okay.
Okay, so this is our,
Oh, I see.
our normal adoption every 30 days of the resolution 2224 to authorize continuation of remote teleconference meetings. However, I did not say it in my secretary's report. Governor Newsom did cancel the executive order that allows you to do that in February. So come February, you won't be able to.
I know that feeling.
You guys can go out this door.
Go out that door.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
So as of February, you won't be able to do the remote teleconference meetings. You'll have to, like it is through AB 361, you'll have to go back to the normal process.
Okay. So,
Unless one of those mice escapes from Boston U. The governor said that he intends to get rid of the emergency act in the February date that you gave. But, you know,
Mhm.
we're going to continue to approve this if we vote to do that. There was some discussion at our last meeting that the emergency act had ended, but California's is, as of just this week, maybe even today, Newsom announced that, and still on a federal level, the current presidential administration is still carrying out on an emergency level. So this gets us through a month, and we shall see what February brings.
we still have to vote upon it.
Huh?
February?
2023.
Yes.
Yeah, so we have several months, but
So-
only a few, and then we'll get back.
Unless one of the.
Well,
mice gets-
I'll make the motion then to approve.
Okay, so we have a motion to adopt resolution 22-24, authorizing remote teleconferencing of meetings. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Director Beard has seconded Director Van Pelt's motion.
So we have a motion by Director Van Pelt and a second by Director Beard to adopt resolution 22-24, authorizing continuation of remote teleconference meetings.
Correct. Can we go ahead and do a roll call vote?
Director Redford,
Aye.
Director Beard,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Van Pelt,
Aye.
Director Paddleworth,
Aye.
motion passes.
A question on these are, considering that we passed this, the remote teleconference meetings, when we have special meetings, ad hoc committees, can they still be performed via Zoom? Just wondering, nothing I've ever asked.
Yeah, because ad hoc meetings aren't subject to the Brown Act. 'Cause
They aren't.
There's only 2 board members.
Are special meetings subject?
Yes.
Okay, so if we have special meetings now, if we can't make it, but we have to find a time, considering everything changes.
Well,
over.
the only thing that is different is, once February rolls around and they continue with removing that executive order, all you have to do is say, I'm gonna be at 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, post it.
Candyland Lane in the North Pole. We have to post that address on the agenda, saying that it's gonna be a teleconference location, and you have to post that agenda
Yeah,
at the location that you're
Yeah.
at.
and they
And you
have,
have to allow the public.
out of public. Nice. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I've been there, done
I'm
that.
gonna have people chase me around and invite them all over.
That happened early on a
Yeah.
different board I was on and
Yeah.
having meetings at my house. It's, yeah, you can do it. It has some drawbacks. But once again, we will see what February brings and if rules change. So with that, we are good for another 30 days. We may want to put that on,
We haven't covered 8A.
no, we're going to do informational items now. And that,
8A.
So the meeting in
8:88.
November is the 16th, so.
8A,
5 day.
Or is it 9A?
Well, there's 9's closed, 8 is informational items. So,
yes,
yeah,
and
well, you're
9
right.
isn't happening now. So we're getting the treasurer's report, which is a quarterly review.
So this is a quarterly review for quarter ending September 30th, 2022.
Oh,
We earned 1.3% in our LIF investment and 1.16 in our 5-star money market investment. We have a total of $5,488,299.46, and we earned $14,211.34 in interest.
Are there any questions or clarifications?
that interest earned, is that year to date or
No, that's just quarter.
just quarterly? Okay, you said this. Yep, sorry, Wendy. Listen, yeah, 6:30. Okay.
So,
It's amazing how large sums of money, right? Those interest, that's a lot bigger. You start looking at interest in the small, I'm like, that's not a lot. Oh, wait, there you go. I just need $5 million in the bank.
Don't we all?
it's not what it
Monthly
used to
concerns
be,
to be out the
guys.
door. Oh, we'll need these meetings.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Are any public comments? I don't see anyone on Zoom or a hand up. So, and there's nobody in the public except for Mr. Freeman, who is quite comfortable letting us know if he has a public comment. So, anything else before we talk about adjourning? Do you have any informational
Want to
items?
make sure you get one of these before you go.
And
Oh, the
that is.
MSR, the draft, the MSR, yeah, I want to look.
I put the names on top, it's not super significant.
I started reading that PDF you sent, and I read it. I
And-
started yawning. I better.
A little overwhelming,
Well, yeah,
and the language.
yeah, the language. Well, language sounds a little redundant at times, but I understand it's because of each area they're talking about. And so it's, once I grasped that, it was a little more informative.
Before I ask about adjournment, on our meeting that we're having in a week, should we move our closed session that we're going to reschedule that we couldn't have tonight? Is that appropriate?
Yeah, I think we could do that. Yeah, that would be efficient.
When?
We're having that meeting at 5 a week
Next
from
week,
today.
yeah.
So if we stay afterward, I would not anticipate that it be a long meeting, but to be able to ask our attorneys any questions we might have. Yeah.
Efficiency. I vote for efficiency. Let's do it.
Okay, yeah.
If indeed it's possible, everyone. It's okay.
I think it's gonna depend on his schedule, right, rather than ours.
I contacted both of them and they're both available. So.
Oh,
yeah.
very good, very good.
Yay.
Smart, smart.
You're going to recommend that anyways, aren't you?
Hey, I'll tell you, I could wait till after we adjourn, but we're getting out of here so early. This is very helpful, and it's much like what you did on the wall. These visual aids, I really appreciate that you have the skill set to be able to knock this out. It's very helpful to me. Okay, anything else before I ask for a motion to adjourn? No and no?
Oh, no.
Okay, so is there a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:41 PM?
I'll make that motion.
Director Paddleford has made a motion to adjourn the meeting at 6:41. Is there a second?
I'll make that motion.
Director Beard shall make the motion, the second.
So we have a motion by Director Paddleford and a second by Director Beard to adjourn the meeting at 6:41 PM. We'll do a roll call vote. Director Redford.
Aye.
Director Hill.
Aye.
Director Jones.
Aye.
Director Beard.
Aye.
Paddleford.
I,
Motion
Wonderful.
passes.
Thank you.
Do you take your binder home?
I don't.
No, I do it online also.
I don't take it home because it mixes with my other binders and then.
No, I'm snooping through your stuff
Oh,
right
please
now.
snoop. There's
No.
nothing, there's nothing being hidden right now.
No, did you get a copy of and everyone really, not just you, but you weren't here last week, Rosenberg's rules?
Wait, I wasn't here last week?
You were last
it's just-
meeting.
No, I would love one of those. rules.
Yeah.
That I can bring, right, and I can bring home and put on my desk. 'Cause
And it's so helpful. I
I'll
would
put my
encourage
coffee mug on
everyone.
it and get a nice coffee. No, I'm just joking.
Hey, I'm telling you, your kids
Oh,
will
there it is.
decorate. Yeah.
Thank you.
And it, because I think that we're making gains and it's helpful to me to
Yeah.
keep the meeting moving along, even though I went afoul of that.
really flexible on my.
Okay, I'll read that.
my
Thank you.
schedule.
Please.
So pretty much whatever is good for you is most
The
likely
meeting is
gonna be-
adjourned.
Okay, so orders all off.
Oh, thank you.
That goes, the bank, they'll call you if they have.
It's
I can always
really
pop in
early
the mechanic.